Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Worth Avenue Presents the Bahamas. If you guys were here for the New England itinerary, I thank you very much for tuning into that. I did one for Greece as well, which we'll be posting that soon. And just a little bonus content coming up. We're going to be continuing these itinerary series next with Alaska, then the South Pacific. And if anyone out there has any ideas on some great itineraries, let me know. So I've got two special guests this evening. I've got Zach Ring from the 106 San Lorenzo called Crosswave, and I've got Captain Andy, who some of you probably know him from the Sweet Emotion program. He's now got his own yacht management company, and I'm going to bring him on up, and then we're going to just jump right in and start talking about chartering in the Bahamas. Welcome,
Hey.
Andy. Welcome, Zach. How are you?
Hello, everybody. We're good. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Doing
Thanks.
well.
So first of all, Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and the program that you're currently running?
Sure. Okay, so a 30-second bio would be came from the Navy. I was a sonar technician, got into scuba diving after that. Luckily fell into yachting where the pay is better and the food is much better than the military. And been doing this for about 10 years now. Sat in the Bahamas for quite some time. And for the last about 18 months or so, I've been on Crosswave, which, as you pointed out, is a 106 San Lorenzo. I think one of the most ideal vessels for the Bahamas. Shallow draft, easy to handle, and get into all the nice tight places.
Well, great. Andy, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Andy from Auckland, New Zealand. Been in yachting 17 years now. Captain for 7. 3,000 ton MCA master. And I got involved with the Sweet Emotion program 4 years ago when the owner bought the boat. And basically managed the major refit and took her into charter operation. And she's my baby. And I've grown that program out to the point now where I'm more shore-based than driving the boat. And I have a management company called Yacht Consulting and Management. Got a number of boats under my management now, but Sweet Emotion is the number one baby.
Well, fantastic. Well, we're really glad to have both of you here to share your experience in the Bahamas. I ran in the Bahamas. I had two boats there. I had Ohana back in the mid 2000s, was probably my most successful charter vessel. And of course, I ran Nuvita and then My Sienna, both in the Bahamas. Well, anyway, we're going to jump right into the itinerary. There's a picture, of course, of My Sienna, Crosswave, and the mighty Sweet Emotion. Just a quick thing we like to feature, since Worth Avenue is so graciously hosting this. I like to focus on at least one of the vessels in the Worth Avenue fleet, and that's Top 5. Top 5 actually is she's a big boat for the Bahamas, but charters successfully there. There's a lot more bigger boats that are chartering in the Bahamas, especially in the Exumas, as better chart technology is available, and of course better depth sounders. Just a couple of the specs on Top 5 2. It's 12 guest rooms. Excuse me, it's a 6 stateroom, 12 guests, and a 19 crew member, and she's a big girl, over about 200 feet long with about a 10-foot draft. Some of the toys that you can see on her there. And if you want to know more about Top 5, tune into the Worth Avenue YouTube channel. We've got videos on her there, or the Worth Avenue website, where you can look at all the boats in our charter fleet. Just a couple of the comments. Some of the things that I guess that I like for a successful charter program when I'm cruising in the Bahamas are, of course, the toys. And having a good tender is key. I'm sure Andy and Zach will jump in on this. Also, there's in the Bahamas, if those of you who aren't familiar with them, there's great places to go kiteboarding. Actually, Andy, you'll appreciate that. I took that kiteboard shot in New Zealand, and then that's right outside of Auckland. And then, of course, that sea bobs are a lot of great fun in a place like the Bahamas. One final note: I know a lot of submarines in the news. The ironically, it's I'm doing a thing. Well, to tune in later, it's Myself and the Monaco Yacht Club are going to be hosting a seminar on submarine and submarine safety. Triton Submarines, I believe, make some of the best subs in the world. They're active in the Bahamas. There's a yacht owner there named, who go nameless, that uses these subs all over the Bahamas. And they are going to start having, you're going to be able to rent these subs in the Bahamas. So more to follow on that. I'll be giving you updates on the sub. Some of the things that make these itineraries possible: marinas.com. Bar none, type in any marina, anything, any anchorage, and it comes up with a pretty good definition, phone numbers, and websites. Highly recommend that. And of course, great weather forecasting. We've got seaweather.net. Highly recommend that program. A couple of notes for the captains out there. Don't forget, when you're leaving the U.S., file your notice of arrival. That's easy to find. The links are in the itinerary. And then coming into the Bahamas, they've made it a lot easier since my days of cruising in there. Of course, Zach and Andy will have some comments on that one. And the link for this website is also in the itinerary, and I'll show you where to find that in about 2 seconds. And again, this is just one of the pages on the Bahamian Click to Clear site. And now let's jump right into the Bahamas. And we're going to focus on, obviously, the Bahamas are a large archipelago. So we're going to focus primarily on what I would do mainly for a charter, which would be start in Nassau and then do the Exumas. We'll show some of the outer islands, which Zach and Andy have been to, and then up into Eleuthera, Harbour Island, and Meeks Pats and such. So we're first going to start with anyway, that's the itinerary. That if you, by the way, if you want this itinerary or want to jump ahead, the link is in the description. That's free to everybody. So some of the places we're going to visit today, obviously, like as I said, we got Nassau, Albany, Highburn, Shroud, the Exumas, Compass, and on and on. And then at the back of the itinerary, I put in a thing called attractions. So under each one of the destinations, you're going to be you'll find a bunch of different things that I find are handy, whether they're restaurants, marinas, and what I think is super important is this right here. On each destination, there's a little tab called 911. Now, in the Bahamas, 911 is actually 919. That's how you would dial emergency services. But if you click on that link, that gives a list of every clinic and every hospital in the Bahamas. So no matter where you are, you can immediately find how close you are to medical help. It's funny. I had a gentleman. He hit his head going into Thunderball Grotto. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And I brought him into a clinic at Staniel Key, and the woman looked at me and said, "Pig or cave?" And that was primarily what their injuries are. And if you don't know what pig means, again, stay tuned. We'll tell you in a second. Again, I've said this before in my other talks. Good land support is critical. And the guy that I recommend above all others in Nassau is Laron with Showtime Limo. Tell him that Captain Sean sent you, and he'll definitely treat you right. I've also, in the itinerary too, you've got information on private jets, on FBOs. Maker's Air runs out of Lauderdale to Staniel Key. All the links are in the back of the itinerary. And now let's start in Nassau. Nassau is where I started most of my my charters, generally out of Atlantis. But there are some other major marinas in Nassau as well, such as Hurricane Hole and Bay Street. And then Zach or Andy, do you get any comments on Nassau?
I mean, we base Sweet Motion out of Bay Street Marina. The staff there, the crew are fantastic. They got a side agency called Island Yachts. Very helpful for all of your tax and immigration needs. As far as suppliers go, I'm yet to find a really good one in Nassau. I typically have the crew do their own provisions. Got some fantastic drivers. And, Atlantis, as you mentioned, Sean, fantastic marina, great facility. Those are the two that we really go to. Hurricane Hole, freshly renovated and redone, and I know they're open now, so sail past it all the time. Looks wonderful.
Andy, can you play with your mic just a little bit? I think it's coming off of. It's not coming out of your earbuds. It's coming out of your phone. So either hold your phone closer, or fix that.
Can you hear me? Is that working?
That's a little bit better. Okay. Zach, do you have anything to add to Nassau?
Yeah, as you said, Atlantis is awe-inspiring. Everybody tends to want to pick up there or drop off just because of the scenery, right? You go in, it looks like a castle as you're pulling in. A lot of the guests enjoy the fishbowl, if you will. There's restaurants, there's bars, there's gambling, there's everything you could want there for holiday, it seems. So that is a very good spot, and it's extremely protected, which I quite like. Hurricane Hole, as you both mentioned, has just been updated. Great turning basin once you get in. Nice floating docks. I think it's also a very good spot. Bay Street, I've done a few times, as well as going around to Lyford every now and again.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk a little bit about Lyford when I put on the Albany side the link to Lyford Key Marina, fondly known as Lifeless Key. Not a lot of hole going on there, but not a bad marina. Anyway, so that's where we pick up and drop off. Generally, Nassau. The other major marina, of course, is Albany. Albany, you've got to be a member to get in to pick up a drop off, or actually, I've only been in Albany once, and it was when it was first opened, and that was years ago. So, Zach, when's the last time, or Zach or Andy, when's the last time that you've been in Albany?
Yeah, sure. I spent almost a year there on a 40-meter new build that we brought over from the UK, and so that was in early 2020 and pretty much all of 2020. So during COVID, which I suppose worked well because there wasn't a whole lot going on, and the amenities there are fantastic. They've got the crew area. You have your own gym, little volleyball court, lounging spot. And then for the guest, I mean, it's world class, whether you go golfing or you're in the spa and getting a massage and saunas, you're in the nice gym. They have events there all the time. They even do jiu-jitsu sometimes. So it's got a little bit of everything. It's quite nice and secluded. Also a very protected marina and basin once you get in.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is when I've been anchored off of Albany that they don't have a tender dock where you can go in and pick up. You've got to go to that little dive shop. So
that's as you said, you have to be a member, and I think that's what kind of leads to what it is. It's the exclusivity.
Yeah. So all right. Well, anyway, so let's jump in. So we're going to jump in from Albany, and we're going to go right into the Exumas, which was Harbour Key. Always my first stop coming from Nassau, and there's a couple different ways you can go. You can go if you get the draft. Well, several different ways you can go, but the what it's showing on the map is like you're just going. Well, actually, it's a little kind of I wouldn't go that way, but anyway, don't use these maps for navigation.
That's right.
Now Harbour Key is there's a little fishing village there. You can do some light provisioning. One last thing on provisioning. It's like provisioning is a whole lot better in Nassau than it has been in the past years. Last time I was there was a few years ago. It was light years ahead of when I was there in 2008. But Andy's 100% correct. If you're gonna provision in Fort Lauderdale.
Absolutely. Although Goodfellas, they have amazing produce. They always have.
Yeah. And that link, by the way, there's under Nassau, there's a link to provisioning, and it has a list of all the markets and places that you can provision in Nassau. Anyway, Andy, anything to add on Highburn other than all of the rays and the snorkeling and everything else that you can do there, and the skeleton at the bus stop? Oh, we seem to have lost Andy for a second. Zach, how about you? Anything on?
Well, just to add, they have the restaurant there, don't they?
They do have a restaurant there now.
Like, give me a signal. All right, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, good to go, Andy.
Sorry, carry on, Zach. I'll jump in after you.
I was going to say, I believe the restaurant's called Exuma. It's quite nice. So, as you mentioned, if you're not in the marina, you can always drop the hook there on the west side, which has good protection. You have the cell tower right there. So if you're not on, say, KVH or everybody's using the Starlink nowadays, if you got BTC, you've got pretty good service there. And then you just hop, skip, and jump around, and you're into the bar and restaurant for the guest, which is quite nice. And then they have the ability to use the beach. I think you have to be a guest and some to use the beaches there.
Yeah, the last time I was there, they let us. I think we had to pay like $50, and they let us use the beach. We had to rent chairs or something. But anyway, great little spot from Highburn, and it is really the I like to call it the gateway to the Exumas. Right next to Highburn Key, and this is what I like about Highburn. It's a good anchorage because you can take a quick tender ride right over to Norman's Key, and then Norman's Key if you've got to fly guests in and out, there's an airfield there. This is that actually, for those of you who don't know, it's Norman's Key was an enclave for Escobar's drug trade, and that is a crashed drug plane which you can snorkel around. It's a really, really cool, easy snorkel for beginners and a lot of fun.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Anything to add on Norman's?
I'd just say if you're going to the plane, watch the tide. Especially the outgoing tide can pull through there.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but that runway, now that they've done up the marina there, that's a great launching spot. Almost every trip we run in the Exumas now, guests will fly directly into Norman's. It's about 4,700 foot of runway.
Really?
And then you can do customs immigration there, and then you're right out, and we head straight south from there. It's a great spot.
That is wow. That is really good.
Yeah. And
then from Norman's into go ahead.
I'll second that. It's 4,800 feet, and it's all right. Carry on. I don't know what's going on with my microphone. I don't seem to be working. So you guys just carry on.
But anyway, well, you're going to have to talk when we get out to Cat Key because neither Zach or I have been there. So don't drop out there. So.
Well, I hope you can hear me.
Good to go.
So into the Exumas, then you can get into Shroud and, of course, Hawksbill. Shroud Key is one of my favorite places to set up like a beach barbecue. There's a couple different ways that you can get in there. What you're looking at is the end of a river that you can come up through the middle, and then you're looking at the ocean side. So I've actually brought guests up that river, dropped them off where we've had like a little beach set up. And then if the tide drops too much, I'm able to get them in on the tender on the other side. And I'm sure, Zach, and you've done something similar.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite spots, if not my favorite. The mangroves there are fantastic. As you said, you go up through that turquoise water, meandering through the middle of the island. You see juvenile turtles. It's a fantastic spot. And the beach on the ocean side there, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one of the best spots on the island. And you've got a really great protective anchorage just south of that. Where it's all around just a real showstopper.
That's it. And if you're into snorkeling too, I think just north of there, between Shroud and Wax.
Yeah, it's a good cut. It's a good drift. You can you can rip through there. Yeah.
Yeah, the reef there is quite healthy.
And then Hawksbill to Wardricks Wells. Wardricks Wells is the headquarters of the Exuma Land and Sea Park. And so, Zach, tell us a little bit about the giant whale.
Yeah, that's it. I believe it was a baby sperm, if I'm not mistaken, that washed up years back, and they've now stacked it like so to give the guest a good
baby
photo
humpback.
opportunity. Was it a humpback? There,
Yeah.
That makes more sense than a sperm.
Yeah.
Baby humpback whale. But no, that's also a very good spot. The northern anchorage there wraps all the way around. For smaller boats, if you're of the larger size, or even for us, 32-meter and up, especially for top 5 too, you'll be on the outside there.
Yeah.
But if you can tender in Boo Boo Hill, and there's a couple of other hikes around the island that are quite nice, and there's a blowhole. My favorite, though, is going around the east side if weather prevails and allows you to then get into Hog Key, or as we call it, Pirate's Lair. And you've got a lot of current to contend with, but there's 2 moorings towards the outside there that are just fantastic. And the boat will actually turn usually stern towards the shore as the tide shifts, and you can literally jump off onto the beach almost. And it's just a very tranquil, amazing spot to take guests.
So we get a comment. Can you elaborate on the cost of the park? Yes. If you go into the link for the Exumas, I think it's on Hawksbill. There's a link for the Exumas Land and Sea Park, which has all the costs broken down for you there.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's $1 a foot for the moorings.
Yeah, but if if you're when I know we were always too big to get into the moorings, or my boats were too big to get into the moorings, and then well, actually, this is an interesting question. He goes, just finish a charter with $4,100 of cost for park and moorings and beach picnic. Does that sound about right?
True enough, they've changed nowadays, and they don't always hit you. But my understanding is you can get out and do a beach setup. But if you put up an awning, or if you have more than 4 chairs or something along those lines, then they'll come and hit you for, I think it's $1,000. It's quite a steep fee nowadays to set up within the park. So that is true.
Well, because in Shroud, I've never been billed to set up on the beach there, but if you do it right in their backyard, you're probably going to get busted for it.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what I would think. And probably also too, this is really where the bigger boats are going to come. Like I did when I was on Bravo Eugenia, and we were 109 meters. We had to get real creative into where we could go. Wait a minute. Why don't you tell us a bit about this?
Leave a sign on Boo Boo Hill. Wouldn't know. Never left.
You never been there?
Footprints. Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There's something. Yeah. So basically, there's a little hike, and there's a bunch of little mementos from yachts up there. That goes back a long way.
That's fantastic.
So we gotta jump because we could talk about. There's great stories. So anyway, so O'Brien's. So what can you tell me about O'Brien's? Where'd I go? There we go.
There it is. O'Brien's. There you are. Also can be a decent anchorage. You can get in there from either side, depending on the size of the vessel. Now, you come in from the bank side, it gets a bit skinny coming up. But O'Brien's is great for the aquarium. Good snorkeling there as well. Lots of juvenile fish. Again, you can anchor in the north there. You do have to watch the current, but there's decent holding. So I know a lot of guys that have actually dropped hook in there during, say, a westerly and been able to get away from the swell on the bank. So it's a good spot. Yeah. And again, you can get in from either side, whether the north, if you're coming from the east, or coming up past Bell Island on the bank side. You can creep up through there. But again, it's quite skinny.
Yeah, that was always always for some of the boats that I had, I just didn't have enough room to swing around up there. So, but a great spot, always a great tender ride to go in. I would always take the guest in there via tender, because just for what you've outlined, is really great snorkeling and a lot of really great fish. And it's just a pretty ride all through that Pipe Key, and if you come up from that down there. And then from Compass down, of course, to Big Majors. And for those of you that don't know about big majors, it's an island inhabited by pigs. And no, not the people in the background, but actual pigs. Um, they're friendly pigs, and you can bring them. Like we usually bring them muffins or vegetables, and they come out and they'll eat that. But you got to be careful because again, they treat at least like once a week someone gets bitten by a pig, and not the pig. They're not mean pigs. They're just piggy.
That's it. They're cheeky. If you're not feeding them quick enough, they may let you know.
Yeah, and we had one that actually, like, there was one of our guests was behind, and he actually went up and just nipped her right on the butt. Not hard, but just kind of gave her a little nudge. But
it happens. It happens. But to backtrack quick, we didn't even touch compass. Fantastic, Marina. Again, get in there on a high slack if you can, because the current does run. But then you've got the nurse sharks there that you can swim with. You can hike up to Rachel's Bubble Bath, or if you tend to route to do Rocky Dundas, also a great snorkel there.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That is a great now tell me about Rachel's Bubble Bath.
That's it. So it's basically a tidal pool. So if you've got, say, a king tide on the high, you can get up there and the water will come crashing over from the east. And then just that bit of cavitation coming over the limestone there will create the bubbles. And you've got a nice shallow pool. Every now and again, you'll get juvenile stingrays that wash up in there. And it's a nice place to sit down, especially for the younger kids to relax. That's a good spot,
and that's
sure.
and one of the, like, it's funny, like the best charters I've had have all involved people with families, and it's really there's stuff for literally all ages.
It is, yeah.
And then into Staniel Key, which is really, that's again, you've got what what veggies do the pig like? They're like whatever you're gonna feed them.
I'll tell you, they're the best fed pigs in the world.
They really are. There was a sailor who sailed across from England, and he made landfall in the Bahamas, and he landed on the backside of big majors. This is years ago. And he he wound up eating one of the pigs. He caught it and ate it, and people get all mad because he was later commented and says, it was amazing how easy it was to catch the pig, and that's because they're tame. But anyway, no one's eaten any of the pigs lately. Staniel Key, you've got the Staniel Key Yacht Club. You've got the you've got a great bar there, which is where, when they were filming Thunderball, and that's the other thing we mentioned about the Bahamas, where we're talking about, they filmed 2 Bond movies in this area, Thunderball and Casino Royale. I think one other one too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but a little bit of anyway, I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, there's great photos of Sean Connery and all the rest of the cast in there having just having lunch and a few beers and stuff. And it's probably one of my favorite bars anywhere in the world is right at that Staniel Key Yacht Club. Great little dock there. If you can get, Zach, have you ever been to the dock there?
I have. I've been a couple of times. It is quite nice. And again, it's a great, I would say, if you're doing a week charter, it's a good midweek point. You get down south there, and then you can reprovision a little bit if you need to. You've got the pink store, you've got the blue store. If you need anything flown in, they've got a short airstrip there. Water makers will fly in there. And you can also take on gasoline or diesel and fresh if something happens to your water maker. So it's a nice little stopover, without a doubt.
Yeah, and this comments from Nathaniel. If you're concerned about beach setup fees, there are numerous beach setup locations just outside the park, and right next to on the little island, I forget what it's called, right just to the north of Big Majors. I've had fantastic beach setups there. It's there's a little resort there, and there's a bocce court. And they'll generally if there's no one there, they'll let you use it for free.
Okay, I know. I think you're talking about Twin Keys.
Maybe, yeah. Again,
we can rinse it out. That's a nice spot. But Sandy Key, just outside of Big Majors, is amazing as well. A super shallow sandbar. That's where they do a lot of the kiteboarding. Fantastic.
Yeah, spot. I'll set up. That's 100%. That's 100%. I've been there before, and that's a great spot to set up.
That's where you have to contend with the larger vessels like yours, where you've got 20, 30 crew running out at 2 a.m. with flashlights setting up the beach.
Yeah, it looks like when we're done, it looks like a resort.
That's it. That's it. And somebody guarding it all. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then so Staniel Key out into Bitterguana Cay. Have you been there?
Bitterguana's, that is my favorite, without a doubt. And probably because almost nobody goes. You'll see a couple of sailboats every now and again, but that is, for some reason, people just don't pitch up there. And it is a fantastic location.
Now, what do you like about it?
I think I like the seclusion of it, but yet you're very, very close. So you can cut through the small keys there, Deadman's and all that from Staniel, and you can get into Bitterguana via tender in maybe 12 minutes, 15 minutes max.
Oh, nice.
But taking say a crosswave in there, and we draw 6.5 or so, and I'm taking larger vessels in. I think I would have probably 8 feet mean low tide thereabouts. So you've got decent water. You've got that massive bluff that's in the photo. I think that's about 60 feet high. So that blocks the wind. The beach is nice. You can set up there, and you have the iguanas to feed. I mean, so if you want to hike it, you want to feed the iguanas, you want to swim, it's like a mill pond in there when you've got northeast to southeast wind. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Plenty of room to swing. It's a great spot.
Nice. Yeah, it was like 8 feet was always just a little too skinny for me because, I drew 8.5.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And then Black Point, tell us about that.
Yeah, Black Point's just south of there. Black Point itself, I don't think too many people actually get into it. The base just south of Black Point is where people tend to go. And again, it's more of a secluded beach. Most folks tend to turn around at Staniel or Big Majors. That's as far south as they go, and then they start working their way back up on the charters. So Bitterguana, Black Point, it is secluded, maybe a couple of sailboats, catamarans down there, but you won't see many motor yachts, and you still have nice beaches down there to hang out on, to set up. Again, that's outside the park, as Nathan pointed out a minute ago, somewhere that you can set up without paying the fees. That's still quality.
Yeah, I've taken my tender, I brought my tender in there, and then that would be a stop that I would go. I would put the people in the tender as if I was going down to Georgetown. And trying to get at that marina at the Four Seasons or something, but that would be, I'd kind of leapfrog along there. And and then Farmers was the other one that I would go into, which would be if I was headed further south. And then lo and behold, there's Farmers. Now, have you gotten in there?
I've tendered down there once or twice. I think the farthest I've gone on the bank side with the 7-foot draft was Oven Rock. So it's still a bit north of there, but we would tender down towards Farmers and even into, say, like the Musha area to do the snorkeling down there and see the piano and all that. But
yeah.
Time in the area, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I haven't been down there since literally 2008. No, less than 2007 was the last time that I was that far down. When I had my Sienna, but Staniel was about as far south as I got, and then I'd head her back up to where we're going to head up in a second. And then Calabash Bay.
Calabash. Okay. That's it. On Long Island down there. Calabash is supposed to be one of the best beaches around. That whole very, very north side. There's a nice beach, a big resort there. You can bring in, I don't know if you could get my Sienna in there, probably if you stay a bit off, but for sure the smaller ones you can get into, which is quite nice. Anchor close, set up down there. Very, very tranquil as well, but you got to watch the weather. That's it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And the thing is, with the outer islands too, if you've got people that if you've got people that are have been to the Bahamas before and want to see something different, which is what these are kind of the islands that I would recommend. That would be to do that. And then of course there's Conception Island. Now, funny enough, Conception and Cat Key are two of the places that when I went to Tabor Academy, and then during the winter semester they would bring the Tabor Boy down to Conception and to Cat Key. So Tabor
Hmm.
Boy drew 16 feet of water. And there's plenty of water, I think, in both of these particular areas, especially for the bigger yachts.
Yeah, Conception without a doubt. And that west side is supposed to be very, very gorgeous. National park, so there's not a lot going on. No real development, no fishing, no take zone period. So that is a nice spot if you want to go drop the hook and just get to explore.
Yeah. And then finally Cat Island, which is a real popular thing. It's just got a really nice big deep anchorage, and it's better for it's good for the bigger yachts that were in there. That was one of the destinations that I put on the itinerary for Bravo Eugenia. But you'll occasionally see some big boats in that area because there is a nice deep anchorage.
I believe that, and the fishing out there is supposed to be very good also.
Yeah. And then from Cat Island, we're going to jump right back we're going to get back up to Eleuthera. And I put, have you been to the Cape Eleuthera resort there?
I haven't. I was slated to go, and then we turned around and we went up north into the Abbot Coast, but I do know of it.
Yeah. So I've been down there. It's it's okay. I just put that in there as kind of a destination that it's it's good. There's further north that you get is when we get up here to Meek's Patch and in near Spanish Wells. Now Meek's Patch it's this little tiny island right south of Spanish Wells and that little island chain before you go into Eleuthera, and it's real flat. I think I had 11 feet, so I got my Sienna really, really tight right up into there, and we put on one of the best beach dinners. And that's one of the free beaches there as well, too. We had tiki torches coming into this little bay at night, and the chef put on this amazing spread. And then we did fireworks that night. It was just, that island is just perfect for a great evening beach dinner. It was just, and then during the day on the other side, and it's great too, because if it's windy on one side, you can go to the other side and play in there, and then go up all through into Spanish Wells. I mean, really, that's one of my favorite little spots to go to, and it's a real showstopper for charter guests if you take the time and set the beaches up properly.
Absolutely, no, it is great. As you said, you've got protection from a couple different directions of the wind. It's on the bank, it's shallow, so you don't get anything but the wind chop. And they also have pigs. So
they do have pigs.
They do have pigs
on the south of it. Yeah, the south side of the island. Yeah.
So if you need to fill an afternoon, there you go.
If you need to get your pig fix, if you don't get your pig fix south, you can get it there.
Yeah, I believe they're a little more polite up north than the southern ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And then of course Spanish Wells. The Spanish Wells is where all the pilots that'll take you into Harbour Island live, and also into Spanish Wells too. I have a list. I put all the pilots in the Harbour Island link section, and you get guys like Little Woody, Cinnabar, A1 was a pilot, and then you get the Bandit. All those guys, they're great guys, great local knowledge. Little Woody is really good too, because you can ask his wife; she'll make Johnny cakes for you and that Bahamian bread. And then also the best prices on stone crab claws anywhere. You can get a giant bag for $200. I mean, and it's a giant bag of them, and they're delicious. They're delicious.
They are. I think we're paying $25 a pound. And again, you're not going to get that, and they are massive, colossal stone crab claws. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's the best place to get it. And they got local fish that'll come in there as well. I mean, that you can buy there is some unique provisioning in Spanish Wells. There's a little, I had to haul my tender there one time to just change some props or something. You can do that. There's a cool run that you can get from Spanish Wells around up into the Devil's Backbone through that whole area. It's just, it's a neat spot. I haven't quite had I didn't take my seat there. You can take at a high tide. You can take some pretty big stuff. I took Ohana through there. She was 155 with 7.5. I did not take my Sienna with, at 185 and 8.5 through there. I was like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it gets a bit skinny then, that's for sure.
it was super skinny.
I'll tell you, with Spanish Wells also, and I wish Andy could jump back on. He went fishing up there not too long ago. They've got great charters out of there, and the guys really know what they're doing.
Really phenomenal charters, yeah.
Yeah, the Yellowtail were running at the time. This was just a couple of months back, and goodness, they were cleaning up shop. It's good fishing there.
Yeah. And then Harbour Island, personally, bang for the buck, one of my favorite spots in the Bahamas. You got great pinks. You get the Pink Sands resorts. I like to pick up and drop off, though you'll be picking up and dropping off from the Eleuthera side. And you can either take your tender, or there's a little shuttle that runs back and forth. But again, I'm a big fan of owning the whole experience. And if you could always use your own equipment to pick them up and drop off, you should. The good dockage, Valentine's is a great marina. A lot of fun stuff. Really good restaurants on that island. If you're people like celebrity watching, there's gonna be celebs on that all year round. I like Harbour Island.
Harbour Island is good. Yeah, it can be more shore activity focused if you want it to be, but then you can also get out on the hook. It's a big enough bay in there. You can get up to the north, anchor out by Man Island. Wicked good sandbar there.
Yes, 100%.
But yeah, Harbour Island it's a very good spot. We spent a week there, or a little bit longer, just back in April. It was quite good.
Yeah, it was a good place if I had to hove too. Like if the weather went south, I could base myself there. There was enough to do, and enough stuff to do on the tender where if it was iffy, I could get back, or if I could get a shot out of there. But anyway, Harbour Island was a great spot.
It is. And then just as you said, where the pickup is from Harbour on North Eleuthera, you've got the Preacher's Cave. You got, I want to say it's Emerald Blue Hole there, or now. But there's a couple of spots. The Glass Bridge you can go to. I mean, there's some things to do that'll keep you busy if you got poor weather.
Yeah, so it's a really if again, brokers on here, if you've got guests and you're looking at bad weather, it's a really good spot to base out of, because Nassau can get pretty boring, I think, especially if you're stuck in Atlantis for a week. It just if I was going to pick a place to get stuck for a week, it would definitely be Harbour Island.
It's got a better feel to it, especially with all the golf cart travel. That's how you get around, right? So
and so on that Harbour Island, again, in the links, I have there's a little section that says golf carts, and if you click on that, it's every golf cart rental place on Harbour Island. So
that's great.
And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about Egg Island. Have you been there?
We've anchored out. Haven't done too much around it.
Yeah. So again, it's like one of those places that you go, it's a destination. There's a little resort just called, I think it's called Kings Island or something. It's just a bit
Royal, maybe.
Huh?
Royal.
Royal Island. That's it. I knew it had a King or Royal or something, but Royal Island. There's a good resort on that. But again, it's one of those places where if you got to kill time, or you need another place to set up a beach, is pretty good. Now, the final destination kind of on this is Chub Cay. And Chub is really where the fishing action is based out of. I'd say you get all the sport fishers there. There's a couple of golf courses in Chub as well. It's like scenically, it's not one of my favorite places to go, but one of those places where it's a good place to pick up and drop off.
It is. Or on the occasion that you get somebody wanting to take the ride across it, it's a very good stopover from Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Rather than, if you're going up, exactly. Because as you're coming right out of the, right off the bank right there, it's just right off to your left.
That's it. You come through the pocket and then you can stop there. It's a protected marina as well. They've done quite a bit to it. Nice restaurant, nice swimming pool. As you say, the fishing there is world class. Yeah, it's a good all around
Yeah, that
spot.
corner is a little tight on a 180, but
I believe it.
but you
I
can
believe
make
it.
you theoretically they can do it too. I think a Lady M, the big Palmer Johnson, like
Mm.
she's like 2 and change, was able to squeak around the corner. They had to grease the sides up to do it, but
That's what they make fenders for.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, so if you've got any questions on the itinerary, you can contact me or Zach or anybody else at any of our charter guide people at Worth Avenue. And of course, you've got Andy too, which is a shame. Is his I'm gonna think he's texted me, and it's a shame that that we couldn't get in touch with him. But you can follow him at My Sweet Emotion, and that's emotion spelled EMO. EMO, like as an ocean. So My Sweet Emotion, and ocean as an ocean. And then, or you can follow me at excitementfactory.com. And then
Such a good name. Love it.
And then anyway, so like, does anyone have any questions in the chat? Does anyone want to know anything else? Zach, do you have anything final to add?
I was gonna say somebody. I don't recall his name now. He mentioned the turtles down off of Farmers, Dino's Turtles. That was awesome, and a good call on that. That's actually a really good event for the guests if you can bring them down and do that.
Yeah.
T, thank you very much. Yeah, I suppose we've all done it quite a few times, and I'm sure doing a cursory itinerary, there's a few bits that we missed, but we did give you our punch list. That's definitely not inclusive of everything. But yeah, feel free to reach out. Love to chat about it. And as you said, it's a shame Andy couldn't get back on here. He's got an outstanding. Well, he developed an outstanding charter program there on Sweet Emotion. Everybody knows him now. He's an absolute fantastic captain. Now that he's shoreside doing yacht consulting and the management, he's doing very well there also.
Well, so silly question. We got yachting industry newbie. What are juvenile fish? So, well, juvenile fish are the there's juvenile fish and there's juvenile delinquent fish. But anyway, Zach, tell us what are juvenile fish? I think it's exactly the way it sounds. They're just young. They're just little baby fish.
That's it. Usually, with fish, they tend to look different depending on their age. So the smaller ones, they'll just have in different colors. Obviously, they haven't formed completely yet. But it's nice when you get, say, the aquarium where all those juvenile fish are. It's exactly as it sounds. It's an aquarium. So the fish will come in here and that's where they all spawn. And all these ones will stay in massive schools. So you get in there and everywhere you look, you're going to see fish versus, say, going on the outside and then you're looking for the pelagic species where you may see one or two here and there, or it's much harder to find. So the juvenile ones, again, just as it sounds, they're young, but there's tons and tons of them. And it makes for great underwater photography and just snorkeling.
So and just one final note, just like some of you guys don't know, but I speak internationally on plastics in the ocean. The Bahamas has been kind of one of my pet projects. I did a video a few years ago while I was on a beach about a beach cleanup that we did as a crew, and that how my philosophy is that any beach that we encountered, we left better than what we found it, and that inspired VREPAC to come up with a special trash kind of like collection thing that you can fill with plastic and then bring to recycling stations and such. There's a talk that I give. I'll have them put the link in that about that particular initiative. But again, one of the misconceptions that I've been trying to change about kind of yachting and the yachting industry is they think that we're frivolous or we're destroying the environment. And for the most part, that couldn't be further from the truth. I know that everyone, I'm part of several large captains groups where the majority of them are environmentalists. They understand that the areas that we operate in are environmentally sensitive, and they're incredibly sensitive to those needs. There's more captains that I know have initiated beach cleanups, and that like a lot of the most of the programs I know definitely leave the beaches in better shape than they found them. And if you want to learn more about that, again, I'll put the link for that Rethinks Night Out for the talk that I did in Holland with them. You can go check that out, and also do some research on your own as well. And one final plug for Andy for Yacht Sweet Emotion is he has a company called Yacht Consulting and Management. And see, and then I am just gonna, while I got you all here, here you go. Here's a link for the plastic cleanup that I've done. And if anyone else has got any other questions or any final comments, Zach, everyone hates dead air.
Yeah. I'll tell you, what you were just saying about the plastic initiative, but more so with our industry as a whole. It does tend to get a bad rap from folks that aren't in the industry. They say, well, look at these guys running around on these billion-dollar boats, and they're destroying the environment. But the industry is so far ahead of many others. I mean, the marine engines alone, the selective catalytic reduction, the particulate filters, the soot filters, the way we process our black water and gray water. I mean, it's as environmentally friendly as you can get while still going around and being able to go to these places like you did, and then cleaning up plastic and actually making a difference. So I think it's as good as it can be right now, and it's only getting better, but we are at the forefront of it. The money is in the industry. The individuals who own most of these vessels are very environmentally conscious, as are the captains and the crew. And we're out there trying to do some good.
Well, all right. Well, on that positive note, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. And again, any questions, leave them in the comment on the YouTube, or reach out to me direct at Sean at worthavenueyachts.com, or direct message me on Instagram at Excitement Factory. We'll see you next time in Alaska. Have a great day.